It's part of how we fear. Like, some people fear risk, so they become a certain way and present that to the world around them. Or some people have made money and then they're worried about losing it because their family didn't come from money. We're all set of our own human ridiculous biases.
According to Hooken's July 31st post, he came away from the recent Bitcoin 2024 conference in Nashville, Tennessee, where he heard several well-known US politicians endorse Bitcoin, with one key conclusion: we're not bullish enough. He mentioned a number of recent pledges made by these US politicians, such as the announcement of a Bitcoin reserve bill to address the country's $35 trillion debt crisis and the plan by Republican Party candidate and former President Donald Trump to work with Senator Cynthia Lummis to create a strategic national Bitcoin stockpile. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., an independent presidential candidate, pledged to force the U.S. Treasury to purchase 500 Bitcoin every day until at least 4 million Bitcoin were acquired. A year ago, these concepts would have been the stuff of daydreams, but based on what I saw last week, it appears that Hogan was right when FTX was caving in at Heiser scam less than 2 years ago. Skeptics were dancing on the grave of cryptocurrency while it was trading at $117,000.
The opposite, because I was the macro bear, that everything reverts to the mean, that it was all terrible, and it is all terrible. And I realized I had the wrong mental model. And the moment I actually freed myself of my own biases and tried to understand what the fuck was going on and why were these assets going up, why was this happening, I then could see what was going on and what the big game was. And as soon as I could see that, it became a game I could make money from. And that I didn't have to be stuck wishing, and I've seen a lot of friends of mine do this, wishing that value stocks or small caps or whatever it is are going to work for them. And it's been 20 years now. And I've realized I had the wrong mental model. And the moment I changed it, I felt liberated because the world kind of makes sense. And I just urge all of us to just make sure that we don't get obsessed by our own mental models, because they will change. And the world changes, and sometimes we can be dead wrong, and sometimes we can be dead right. I mean, I nailed the financial crisis, I nailed the European sovereign crisis, I nailed COVID, I nailed all of these things by being a big bear. And something I suddenly realized is, yeah, but assets kept going up. That whole period I should have just been long and have made more money. And that made me ask the question of myself.
Buy the dip. Buy the dip.
That asked the question is like that dumb meme of buy the dip. I wanted to go all the way across the bell curve, go to the middle bit, arguing it all, come to the other side and realize that buy the dip was actually the single best strategy to have ever existed over this period of financial mess. And I was stupid for not seeing it. So anyway, I'm just saying, be careful, because Tom, I can see that you're so allured by the black hole that is there. It kind of comes to you. And we have this conversation. I try and pull you back from the black hole and say, yeah, it's there, but there's an opportunity here. And you're like, but the black hole. Just be careful of the mental model, because it will massively restrict you in what you do, even how you think about life and how you interact with people around you. So it's something I've learned the hard way, is we've all got to be a little more open to A, everyone's opinions, and B, our own biases and how ingrained they are, and have they become part of our personality just because it is, or it's part of how we fear. Like, some people fear risk, so they become a certain way and present that to the world around them. Or some people have made money and then they're worried about losing it because their family didn't come from money. We're all set of our own human ridiculous biases. So we should just all, in all of these conversations, just step back a little bit.
Leaders are now openly discussing the creation of a Bitcoin. Hogan did not specify the cost of the Fort Knox. Sailor Michael, before 2045, Bitcoin was expected to reach $13 million, according to the creator of the MicroStrategy. He predicted that the price will rise even further to $49 million at the Bitcoin 2024 conference. This was in line with a previous forecast by cryptocurrency asset manager Vandercom that Bitcoin might hit $52 million by 250. Bitcoin is still 13.4% behind its peak of $73,700.37 on March 7th, 2014, and has dropped more than 8% since it nearly reached $70,000 on July 29. eBay has already listed Donald Trump's limited edition orange sneakers with a Bitcoin theme, with scalpers aiming to sell them for up to $2,000 immediately away. There are 12 listings for the Bitcoin orange high tops as of this writing. In a live sale, prices can range from $700 to $2,500 with a best offer. Even the absurd amount of $69,999 was put up by one bidder. Only a few days after Trump pledged to create a strategic national Bitcoin stockpile during the July 25th Bitcoin 2024 meeting in Nashville, the sneakers went on sale. The U.S. government would never sell any of the 122 billion Bitcoin it had confiscated, even if he were re-elected.
And it was a very good question, is what would make you think the opposite? And we all need to be able to do that. Because we can't keep saying, well, asset prices have gone up, so therefore you don't know whether you were right or wrong. It's like, and this is no attack on you or anything, it's me thinking through this stuff, is how do you know that maybe you have done yourself a disservice, or I've done myself a disservice, or Tom is doing himself a disservice by thinking the way that we do? Have we held ourselves back? Have we lost an opportunity cost that we didn't imagine because we're so anchored in what we think or we project to other people? That's all I'm trying to get across. It's not about who's right, who's wrong. I'm saying at a human level, what happens if you had bought Bitcoin and bought the NASDAQ and were 10 times richer than you are today? Would you care about some of the things you think about now? Maybe not. Tom, if you hadn't made money when you were young and then fear losing it, maybe you wouldn't be worried about the black hole. Maybe you'd be more risk-seeking. Maybe, just think about it in a bigger context than fighting over what price an asset is. We need to ask ourselves why we think that. What is the end, the worst-case scenario game? What is the thing that you fear that we are supposed to be?
Well, the worst-case scenario is we destroy the currency completely. Right, and so the dollar has no value.
Okay, let's assume that happens, right? Let's say we do that, which we've been doing, but slower. But let's say it completely goes.
But it hasn't got. There's a long way to go between where we are now and zero.
Okay, so let's assume it goes to zero. I'm long crypto and technology stocks. You're long gold. They all go up. We're fine. What's the fucking problem? I'm not saying you're right or wrong, right? I'm just saying we should think about these things. There's another bias that I want you to think about. Is ask your wife if she shares the same views and her friends do, because she's British. And she won't. It's quite a uniquely American thing. Doomsday prepping, the fear of the decline of empire and the collapse of society, is weirdly an American thing. Even though the Europeans have gone through it twice, 2 world wars where we killed everybody, each other, in the most horrific ways possible. Europeans don't think of the same way of the collapse of civilization that Americans do. It's just a really weird cultural phenomena. And it's because it's the largest, most powerful economy, and it's saddled with debt and everything else. So there's biases in everything that we do that make us, as you said rightly, Tom, we project too far either way. And it can still be pretty horrible in the middle. It can still be a terrible political environment. There still could be riots. There still could be kinetic wars, but it may not have to be the end game. What the US did was really clever, is it created a dollar debtor system where the rest of the world owes so many dollars that they can't get rid of the dollar. It's like what the Americans exported was debt.
It maintains inventory. Trump recently had a change of heart regarding Bitcoin. The former president declared in 2021 that Bitcoin was a hoax and that he had no interest in cryptocurrencies on account of their worthlessness in relation to the U.S. currency. However, Trump swiftly had a change of heart at the beginning of this year and started to support Bitcoin and other digital assets. Trump said that the U.S. must not accept anything less than the top rank in the crypto market and chastised President Joe Biden on May 26th for his administration's stringent crypto policy. Trump believed on June 16th that if Biden was going to win the election on November 4th, his war on cryptocurrency should come to an end.